had while the time that I've been trying to come up with something to ask you.
Nice.
So there are a few questions and stuff we need to clarify.
We are going to clarify all those questions. I just want to bring to the table something, and is that anything that we talk about here today is for what I believe and what I've been taught, what I've learned through my years in the gospel. So if I say anything that is wrong, forgive me. And y'all that are watching us through the media, if you know the answer, please comment down there and let us know what the right answer if I say something that is wrong. Or if you have any questions, you can also type it right there. Kathleen is looking at that. I'm looking at that. Alicia is looking at that. So, Alicia, talk to me a little bit about Elohim.
Okay, okay, so the Elohim is about laws, statutes, and has to do with government, and it also refers to the angels. And in the beginning of the Bible, it appeared that God, they were talking about the Elohim, and instead of saying God, you can also say in the beginning the Elohim created the sky and earth. Right?
So, I'm sorry. I have a question. Kathleen. So, before knowing this huge explanation about what Elohim is or means, what did you think it meant?
Well, in my opinion, I really just felt like it was a different name for God.
Right.
Like it was just, we have so many different names that we give God. And I just thought, I didn't know that each name had a different function of what God does. Or different functions of what he does. So I just thought it was just another regular name.
Mm-hmm. So basically, what we are saying is that God has different attributes. That's how we call them. Every name that God has is an attribute of his, let's say, his character, the way he is. And I want you to go deeper because I know you have a lot of notes that you've been taking in the preachings, and that because you told me that you went back to the videos and you were watching them preachings. So I want to know a little bit more of what you learned of Elohim. Go ahead.
Well, as she looks, I think from all the pastors preaching, we could all say that we've been edified with what he's been saying. So not just about Elohim specifically, but about all the names that we've been learning about, I can really say that for the most part, everyone has been quite shocked, because you could be calling God one thing, but you're really calling him another, because you can't just say God is this without knowing what he really is. And it's kind of crazy that by calling him one name, you're lifting him high, but now you have the understanding and the knowledge to say, okay, so he is the one above all things. He's the one that created the heaven and the earth. So it's kind of shocking to see how many names he actually has and how many positions he actually takes in our life.
So, adding to what she said, there's different names for him for what different things that he does. Mm-hmm. So, for example, when he wants to work with the creation, when he doesn't want to work with the creation but with the formation, he calls on the Ruah. But when he's working on the creation, he calls Elohim. Mm-hmm. So it's different names for what he does.
Right.
And I don't know, I think that's kind of cool because everything that he does has a different name. Like, it's just, I don't know, I just like it.
It's amazing, right?
Yeah.
It's amazing that we have a God that is so, I don't know how to say this. This word is really hard to remember. So, versátil. How do you say that?
Versatile?
Versatile. So, God actually takes so many positions, as you said, in our life, that he can be Yahweh, that he can be Elohim, he can use the Ruach Kadosh, which is what we're gonna be talking about. So, y'all forgive me. I don't know what's going on with this computer. I've been pausing it. So, I was saying that he has this different positions that he takes in our life, right? And there's Yahweh, which is the one that provides, Jehovah, right? That's what it means. But there's some things that we have been learning, and is that these different positions deal with different things in our lives, right? And we talked about how Ruach Kadosh is the one that helps us, and he's the one that is inside of us, right? And he's the one that helps us go through different things, and actually is that breath, like you said in the beginning, right? So I want to know, without the Kadosh, what is Ruach? Because I want you to explain to us what is Ruach, because I know there's some youth, as you guys, that have been asking questions because y'all are not maybe on this understanding what's going on with the preachings, because it's a lot of things that he's been saying. But we've been talking about it in the discipleship class, and we've been clearing up some questions that y'all had. And I want to know, what is Ruach? What does Ruach mean, Aracelis?
The Ruah. Okay. So it's the breath of God, the breath of the one that created us. He blew his breath into us and gave us life. So it's more than just breath. It's powerful. Like if you think about it and you really take time to, acknowledge the fact that, wow, my creator took time to just give me that breath. And it kind of reminds me of the song Holy Spirit that he left with us, the companion, the friend that he left inside of us.
That's powerful.
Yes.
Now, I want to give the definition that we have about it, right? Because that is what we want. We want y'all to understand what Ruah actually means and how he works in our lives. So, Ruah means spirit. It means breath. It means direction. It means mind. And if you think about it, how do we think?
Whoa.
That got me thinking.
So we have the way of thinking that we have is because of the breath of life that God deposited in us. The mind that we have, as we've been learning, is because we were inside of him even before we were created. Our soul was inside of God before we were created. Well, not created. Let's change the wording because we've been learning. Formed.
Yes.
Before we were formed.
Yes.
And the one that forms us is the Ruah, which is what it says in Genesis when he said, what? I breath in Naris and in his mouth. He blew of him in us to give us life. And I imagine, with my science mind, I imagine how when he blew in Adam's life, that breath went from the nose to the mouth to every part of the body. And I can see how the blood got the oxygen and everything that we have today that actually keeps us alive physically. Because we know that spiritually we're alive because he gave us life.
Right.
So I want to speak about a little bit, and I don't know if you guys read about this in the notes that you had, but I want to speak a little bit about the function of the Ruah.
Okay.
And we've been learning that the function of the Ruah is what? Speaking, right? It's speaking. And we learned about electromagnetism.
Yes.
And it's what God created with energy to give us the ability to speak. And that is so deep. Because when you think about it, electromagnetism, such a huge word and so complicated to say, because it is complicated. I gotta think like 3 times before I say magnetism. So, electromagnetism is electricity, and it's magnetic waves that produce sound. And I was speaking with Howell, I think it was like a week ago, and we were saying, I was telling him and explaining to him that people think that our vocal cords are actually like cords like the guitar and the bass have. And they're not like that. They're little cartilage spaces where the sound, which is not sound, it is actually air, that breath. Just bear with me. That breath that he deposited in us, like actually touches that cartilage and it produces a sound. Same thing that happens with the guitar and the bass. Because when you touch it, air is flowing, right? And it produces a sound. So speaking is very interesting.
Yes. It's deeper than what you think. That's crazy.
So talk to me a little bit about the notes that you have.
Okay, so I'm actually very excited to talk about it because I've been ready. So first, you said, Adriana, you said let's change the way that we speak, because you were saying created, but then you changed it to form. So most people, if they are watching, they probably don't know the difference between creating and forming. And I actually took it upon myself to find it. And what I got from it was the difference between something being created and something being made or formed is that when something is created, it is brought into existence out of nothing. But when something is made, it has been formed out of something else that already exists. So when I read that, I was pretty stoked. I was jumping. I don't know.
One of the notes that I took, and the world began to die away. And that's kind of crazy because the pastor did go into detail about this, so I want to keep it kind of brief. But it's just, think, like, you came from a man that he didn't have to bring us into this world. Like, he's the almighty, the all-powerful. Like, he didn't need us here, and he took time to, like we said, breathe among us and bring us. And so think about how deep that is. Like, you're breathing the breath that he gave you. He took that time to give it to you. And even though the first man sinned, you're living, but he still has that forgiveness over you. He has mercy for you every day. So that's something that we really do need to think about as Christians. We can't just think that we're living just to live.
Right.
It's insane.
So you said the definition of creating and forming, the difference, right? And you said something interesting. You said that forming is something that comes for something that it was already created. Here, when the pastor was preaching and he said, that was amazing. He said, souls don't have a sex. Y'all remember that?
Souls don't have a sex. Wow.
So they're not females or they're not males because souls are actually spirits. A spirit doesn't have a sex. And when you think about it, if we come from God, God doesn't have a sex. He is asexual, which means no sex, right? God is not woman and he's not men. He's just God. And because we come from him that is asexual, we don't have a sex. Kathleen, we don't have a sex. The sex was determined by the genetics that we had when mom and dad got together and they bing bam boom and they made us. Right? Now, I have a question for you, Kat. Do you think when God created you in his womb, in his mind, do you think that he determined your sex right there?
But I believe that he knew what we were going to turn out to be once he thought of us in his head, because he knew bring this woman to be the help of this man to helping in this ministry. So I believe that God created us and he knew what sex we were going to be because he knows our destiny. He knows where we're going to go and he knows how we're going to get there.
Right.
So I believe he did.
And the reason that I bring this question is because I know many youth, when I said that we are, our souls are asexual, are in their head going like, bloom. This blew my mind. What do you mean I don't have a sex? What do you mean my soul doesn't have a sex? Well, I mean that you come from an asexual God and he was the one that determined when mom and dad got together that you were going to be girl or you were going to be a boy. So because of the purpose that he had for you, because of what he wanted you to do in life for him, for his gospel. Everybody that is born has a purpose in God. He created us with a purpose. So, y'all need to speak.
It's just crazy. Like sometimes you could just think about it and words can't really explain how grateful you, like, if you're not grateful for everything that he's done for you and still continues to do, like I don't know how you're living this life. Like just not saying thank you to the one like that took the time to make you, to form you, and still is forming you till this day. That's crazy.
Yes.
I was also looking for more, like, I don't know, I was looking for more things to talk about, and I found that in the Bible he had plenty of different times where the Ruah came in purpose. And in the beginning, Genesis 1-2, you can see that it says, and God's Spirit was moving over the water. So God's Spirit was the Ruah. The Ruah was moving over the water. And that was kind of cool because before I didn't know about the Ruah, I thought it was just God's Spirit. But then when I found out what the Ruah is, that the Ruah is God's Spirit, it was just mind-blowing to me.
Yeah.
Now, earlier, Aracelis, you mentioned how the first Adam, and this, it's, and I want to correct this, it's not was.
Is.
Because the second Adam is when Jesus came, and he made us spiritual. Now, there's one question that you sent me, and we're going to go there now.
Oh, okay.
There's one question that you sent me that caught my attention, and I was speaking to Hella about this because there's a whole lot of people that are confused with this. And it's the Hinduism question.
Oof. Okay.
So this Hinduism question, it says, I'm going to read it for the people. It says, Hinduism is the world's oldest religion, according to many scholars. Christianity, and I'm going to answer your question. So I did my research.
I've been trying. I could not find the answer to this question.
I did my research. I have a study Bible, and it's the Rainbow Bible, if you want to try it. And I found that in the internet, I was Googling, and I found that Hinduism was actually created in the 1500s before Christ.
Okay.
And I was explaining to Hella this, when years came before Christ, they went backwards. So it was the 1500s, and then the 1400s, and then the 1300s, and that's how years came, right?
Okay.
And I found that the Pentateuch, I believe that's how it's said, it's a hard word too, was written by Moses, right? Did you know that fact?
No, I did not.
Okay, so Moses was the one that wrote the first 5 books of the Bible. And they were written in between the 1400s and 1450 before Christ, which means these books were written, or not maybe written, maybe published in the 1400s before Christ. What does this mean? It means that they were written after Hinduism was created. But now I have a question for you, and I know you're going to have the answer for this. It's a simple question. Don't get scared.
Okay.
If years went backwards in that time, and Hinduism was created in 1500s, according to history, when do you think Christianity, which is as another thing that I'm going to explain to you, was created?
It's before.
Right. Because the books were written in the 1400s before Christ, but Moses did not live when Adam was created. He did not live in the times of Noah.
That's crazy.
So the people believing in God, because that it wasn't called Christianity back then. That's what it means that it was before. Because, and one thing that I was telling Hewell, God created himself. And that's a mystery that we're never gonna we're never gonna receive an answer.
Right.
not in this world at least. God created himself. Nobody created God. So because he created himself, he decided that he wanted to share his glory with us. And that's why he created the world, as we're learning. And he prepared the earth. Because if you see in Genesis, we were created day 6. When and we had the perfect example. When you're gonna have a baby, you start nesting. That's how it's called. It's called nesting. You start preparing the room where you're gonna have your baby, where you're gonna keep your baby safe. The house, you start preparing everyone. Oh, there's a baby coming. So it has water, right? And the world was an abyss at that time when God decided that the Spirit was gonna come, as you've read, over the face of the earth. And it says that this is something that I took notes because my husband says that every time I hear preaching, I associate it with the body, but I can't do anything. The placenta, the earth is the baby inside of the water. And I'm going to explain it because I know it's kind of confusing.
Yeah.
So, Kat, can you look for a picture of a placenta with a baby? Yeah. Okay, so when we have the placenta, he was forming it through the ruah. While he was forming, I'm just stoked here. Okay, when the ruah was forming, he was preparing the earth. What happens in the placenta is that the placenta and the uterus get prepared because a baby is coming. So, inside of the placenta, you have something that is called amniotic fluid, which is made of 90% water. And that's where baby lives the first 9 months. So, the earth was an abyss. Abyss means it has what? It has water. The placenta has water. And you are forming the baby inside.
Wow.
And when you look at it, where did Adam come from? The earth.
Wow. That is crazy, bro.
That's
What?
so cool.
It's like if you're not mind blown right now, I don't know. It works so perfect. Like that's why science doesn't make sense. They're trying to make something so beautiful and so formed and just blame it on an explosion or dinosaurs or something. But how? And the only God that can form all of this is the one real God, the one that still has mercy on us till this day. So that's why it's all so crazy.
So I'm gonna show you now so you can visualize it. So we're right here, right? This is the placenta right here. You see that red thing? That's the placenta. That's what keeps baby alive. So literally, the earth has how many what do you call it? Layers.
Quite a bit.
So baby and mommy have basically the same layers that we have as the earth. So placenta feeds baby. God created earth and prepared the earth to what? To feed us. Because you have fruits of different colors, flavors, forms, everything. So he was actually forming something. And this is something that you already have in your body. It is shown, it is visible when you're pregnant, but it is right there inside of your body. So that was created to feed someone that was growing inside. And we were inside of God. We were already created. He created the placenta. And when you look at it and you make studies, science doesn't want to say it's true, but our minerals and everything that is in our body comes from the earth, comes from the land.
I was just saying the other day, Lucky, my dog, I think he was feeling kind of sick. And if you notice, most dogs, when they don't feel good, they'll start to lick the plants or eat the plants, the leaves off the thing. And I was telling my mom, think about it. Even the dogs go to nature, and it's crazy because even though they're not us, they're earthly, they know what to do when they don't feel good. And that actually helps.
The difference between the animals and us is that we have that intelligence that God deposited in us. They are only nefesh, as in they work by instincts. Yeah. So they do that because that's where they come from. But we have other options, right? Man, okay, go ahead. Let's go. I haven't seen you. I'm sorry.
So to piggyback off of instincts and how animals function with instincts. Everyone knows Osi. And
Oh, no.
Osi,
We know Gio.
Osi has this thing where, like, I'll put him in the back seat of the car,
Mm-hmm.
and he'll start digging at my seats. And like I was, looking into, and I started Googling it, and I was like, why is this man digging in my seats? Every time he gets in here? Like, there's nothing to dig. He's not outside. And what I found out was that before, I guess, before dogs were, brought into the homes and everything, the ancestors of the dogs burrowed. So that's how they basically found their home, or that's how they made their beds.
That's how they
They
nest.
burrowed, right? They burrowed into the ground to basically sleep in that little hole that they burrowed. And I was like, so why is he still doing it? And he has a bed, he has comfort, he has everything, but it's just, I don't even know how to explain it. It's like a generational thing.
Yeah, it's inside of them because it's in their genetics.
It's in their genetics, and I was like, that's crazy,
It's
because
instinct.
it's what the dogs did at, long years ago.
Mhm.
So he doesn't have a need to do it now, but he still does it because that's just inside of him, and that's part of animal instincts.
Yo, we recently went to Florida on a vacation. We took Dante with us, and it was interesting to see him. Dante's really scared of water. Even if it's in the shower, he's scared of water. And we took him to the beach, and he was like looking all around. He loved the sand, but once he had to get inside of the water, this man was pulling back, like, take me back. And I was like, but this is not something that is going to harm you, and I've already taught you that if you're with me, there's nothing wrong that's going to happen to you. But only by hearing the sound of the waves, he got scared. So as an animal, how do they know that represents danger?
Instinct. That's all they could
Go
go.
ahead.
I kind of feel like it's not even that, because there's other dogs that they see water and they want to go to the water.
Right.
So it has to do maybe with something that they experience, maybe a trauma with water, because there's other dogs, and I took Osi to the waterfall the other day, and he was scared of the water as well. And I was like, but why? It's other dogs that you throw them in the water and they're over there like, so I was like, so what's the issue? Maybe he had a trauma or something that happened to him related to water. And
One of the things that are interesting, and we don't want to be talking so much about dogs, but one of the interesting things is that they are actually created in the womb of the female dog as the humans.
Wow.
The female dogs have placenta, and that's how they create. And when they give birth to the baby dogs come out wet, because there's amniotic fluid inside of her to keep the babies alive. The difference is she got like 20 umbilical cords. We don't got that.
That's
So-
crazy.
Basically, dogs are formed, let's use that word, the same way we are. But they don't have intelligence. They don't have that breath of life that we received. You see,
Wow.
that's a puppy.
Looks like a monkey.
It's like disgusting. Yeah, take that off.
That's scary.
So, do y'all want to share anything else? Because I want to get into these questions.
There was one thing I wanted to kind of share that was important. Well, two things, kind of. The mystery of the will of the Lord before the creation. He chose us to praise and glorify of His grace. Okay, so like, again, you were in Him, and He already knew you. He already knew what He wanted to do with you, and He already knew you had a purpose. And as we're living this life today, we ask ourselves and we ask other human beings, what is my purpose? Do you really take the time to ask your Creator, what is your purpose? The one that already knew your purpose when you were inside of him.
The one that wrote it.
Right, exactly. So I feel like I'm kind of trying to urge the people that are watching us to really take the time to ask him. If you're so curious, stop trying to ask another man, because man will always fail. Try to ask the Creator. And the Bible says, ask and you shall be answered.
Yes.
Just ask. Other than that, I want to get to these questions too.
You have anything else to add, Alicia?
No.
Kat, you got something? We got Kat multitasking over here. Y'all need to see this. I wish I had a camera to put on her so you can see. So, we're going to get into these questions. And I don't know if Alicia brought questions too. Did you?
Yeah.
Okay, so go ahead.
Oh, me first?
Yes.
I have to look for mine because.
Okay. So I'm gonna go with the first question that Araceli sent me. The first question says like this. These are so interesting. Do you know yourself in heaven? And I guess you meant, will you know yourself in heaven once you die, or will you have Adam's first mentality?
Right.
I had my expert discuss these questions with me. His name is Howell Enirio Aviles. And shout out to my husband. Do you know yourself in heaven? Will you know yourself in heaven? Or will you have Adam's first mentality of his glory? Right?
Okay.
When Christ came, we have the second Adam, which is spiritual, I think it's spirit, living spirit. Espíritu vivificante. Yes. Living spirit. So we will not have his first mentality because and this is what I believe. Because when we came to Christ, when Christ came to earth and he broke with all of that, and he created a new Adam for us to be glorified. And that's why the Bible also says that we are being justified, because there's going to be a moment that we are going to be glorified. Means that we're going to become one with Lehida, which means completeness. I think we're going to get into this later on in the preachings, because he's been going level by level of the soul. But Lehida means one. It means complete. And I don't know if you remember the example of the apple. When he cut it, and he was cutting it at the end, if you put those pieces together, it becomes one apple again.
Mm-hmm.
So that's what we're going to become with him when we're glorified and when he comes and takes his church.
Wow.
So we're not going to have Adam's first mentality, because that's one of the reasons why we ask for God to give us the mind of Christ, because we are living spirit.
That's deep.
Yep.
Yeah.
Wow.
So, you found your questions?
Yes.
Go ahead.
Okay, so the Trinity have 3 different functions, but they're still one. And the pastor on Sunday, he actually gave like a really like big example of this, and it was that if I touch you, my soul can't touch you, but it feels the touch if I touch somebody, but my spirit perceives your touch. So that was kind of deep for me. But what I wanted to know was the 3 different functions of the Trinity.
Okay. So we have God, which is Elohim, Yahweh, and all these attributes. He was the one that created. We have the Ruach Kadosh, which is what was sent after Jesus ascended, right? You remember the story when Jesus, the transfiguración. How do you say that in English, Kat?
Transfiguration.
Transfiguration. When he did the transfiguration, he said, I am leaving, but I am going to leave with you counselor, right? These words in English. Man, friend. Let's use that one. Let's go with that one. So I'm going to leave with you a friend. The function of the Ruach Kadosh is to redarguir, and I really don't know this word in English. It helps us to know when we're doing the good or the bad, and it's the way which is the Son. He was the one that came to actually redeem us, and he is actually called the second redeemer, I believe, because the first one was Moses. There's only 2 redeemers in the church in the Bible registered, and Moses was the first one when he delivered the people of Egypt from Egypt. You remember that story? So he redeemed the people, but they went back to their old habits and they started worshiping other gods. Did I answer your question?
Yeah.
Okay. You have another one?
No.
No? Okay. So, the second question that Araceli sent me is, should we understand John's visions literally or symbolically when it comes to the book of Revelation? And this is a question that I think you should answer yourself. Do you know the answer? No?
I was thinking of an answer.
Okay. I like this talk. I like these questions.
I think that, I mean, he was describing him with the hair, the eyes, everything, just something that I don't think I would understand if I was standing in front of him. So I think it was more symbolical than literal, because, come on now.
I'm helping you over here. So it is symbolical, and that's why the book is called Revelation, because God used metaphors, God used images, and he actually took John to see all of these things. It's not something that he's just writing about it. It's something that God took him in a vision to see all of the things that are written in the book of Revelation. And it is symbolical because when you receive the revelation of the word, you're going to understand what God is meaning. Also, the word, 5 seconds. The word is actually written. I learned this recently for simple people. I'm not saying simples as in you don't mean anything. I mean like it was written for simple people in terms of it is simple because once you have the Ruach Kadosh in you, he will reveal to you what the word means and what everything that is written means. Go ahead.
So to go with whatever, well, not whatever, but what Aracelis is saying, I was reading David the other day. Not David. What was the name? Daniel. I was reading Daniel the other day, and the prophecies and the dreams that he interpreted and everything. And I have a study Bible, and in my study Bible, I learned that if you don't have a background or if you don't really understand Daniel, you're not going to be able to read or understand Revelation, because you have to have a background in Daniel to be able to understand some of the stuff that happens in Revelation. And something that I what I kept reading in that part was that every chapter of Daniel is mentioned in Revelation, or something having to do with each chapter in Daniel is mentioned in each chapter in Revelation, except for one chapter. So everything is like connected with those two books.
Yeah.
And while reading Daniel, I also basically understood that everything is not literal. Because if you just think about it, the dream that Nebuchadnezzar had, if you think about it, a statue with 4 different types of material. If you literally think about it, like, you're gonna be like, I don't know what this is. But then when he explained it, and when Daniel basically interpreted the dream, it was everything was symbolic. Like, yes. And that's something that it if I was to interpret that dream, I would be like, I wouldn't even know. I wouldn't even know what I would say. But I believe that some things are literal, but the majority of everything is symbolic.
Yeah. And you said something interesting. You said that Daniel has only 1 chapter, is it? Or is it Revelation that doesn't actually... Revelation has 1 chapter that doesn't actually reveal what Daniel was saying. So, when it comes to the book of Daniel actually wrote about governments that were going to come and that were going to take the people of Israel. And he wasn't even there. He wasn't even going to be there. So how powerful it is that God reveals something to someone. This thing with John. He revealed to John how paradise is going to look, how the rapture is going to be, how we're going to be taken. Has this happened?
No.
How many years has it been?
A lot. Wow.
2020 years.
Wow.
And we still haven't seen it. And this doesn't mean it's not going to happen, because I know a lot of y'all are thinking, oh, yeah, it hasn't happened. So when is it going to happen? Well, I'm going to tell you when it's going to happen. Not literally, but the signals are being confirmed. We are seeing things that have been written symbolically in the Bible, and we are seeing the plagues. We are seeing pestilences, like this coronavirus thing.
Mm-hmm.
We are seeing everything that is being confirmed through what the Bible was saying. So, symbolically or literally? Symbolically. Okay. Y'all need to write your questions in the comments. I'm not seeing no comments over here.
Come on.
Okay, so next question. When God comes from his church, for his church, will he be taking some before their time? And the other question says, everyone leaves at once. Let me tell you. So we were discussing here with me, and we were talking about if this question meant, are you talking about the rapture?
I'm talking about the end times. When it said
Okay,
that God
so
is coming.
this is the rapture. So the Bible states that we're all going to be lifted up. But there's also one thing, and I believe it's not here. It says that the people that are dead, they're dead, they're buried.
Mm-hmm.
And I believe this is something that's going to bless your life. They're dead, but God has their souls in a place, in a special place, and no one knows where it is. No one knows the place, the location, for them to be judged. Because everyone is going to be judged. So once the church is lifted up in the rapture, that our clothes are just going to be left over here like, oh, what happened? So that's going to happen. The judgment is going to take place.
So I kind of see that as really interesting. It's a topic that I kind of discuss with people often.
Mm-hmm.
There are some people that live to do miraculous things. Like, they come and do crazy things.
Mm-hmm.
And me, counting that I'm still a youth, like, could it happen as to where I have my plans for the future, and God may have told me what he wants me to do in the future? Could he call me before that time? Could he call me before I get to do something that's memorable in this world? That's what I'm trying to say.
Mm.
Could he take me before I finish doing my thing?
If the rapture happens, yeah, you leaving.
That's
You
crazy.
gone, like Kathleen would say. But it's like what we've been learning too. We've been learning a whole lot of things, and I know our minds are just going crazy with all this stuff that we've been being taught. So when the pastor was saying, because what he means is that you're not going to be touched by a pestilence or a plague if you haven't fulfilled the purpose that God created you to do.
Mm.
So you're not going to die because he already spoke about what he wants you to do.
Right.
And you're gonna do that according to you being obedient to his commandments and doing his will. So yeah.
Wow.
Did I answer your question?
Yes.
Okay. Go ahead.
So can he change, like, if he already spoke about something that you were gonna do in your life, can he change what he said and change it to a whole different thing?
He's not a changing God. He doesn't change his word. It's like when he blesses a land or he blesses someone, he cannot curse them. Because he cannot curse something that he already blessed.
Wow.
Go ahead.
That's crazy.
Now, so he doesn't change, but you can change your destiny.
You can stop it too.
And you can stop it from happening. So let's say God said something about you and you didn't see that happening, and basically you're on your deathbed.
Mm-hmm.
If it didn't happen, it's because you did something
decided.
wrong, or you did something that you weren't supposed to do that stopped you from reaching your destiny. But God, the word is always there. The word is never going to be taken away or never going to be deleted because God already spoke.
Yes. And that is written.
Wow.
So you can stop your destiny. You can stop the purpose that God has for you. And that's something that I can relate to because that's what I did. When I came to Georgia, before that I was already far from God. But when I came to Georgia, I decided that I was gonna just have a free life, freedom, and I was gonna go drinking, and I was gonna go out, and all these things that I did. I actually, and I've been having trouble saying this word. How do you say retrasar?
Lagged. Prolonged.
Yeah.
You prolong.
Okay, let's use that. So I prolonged the purpose that he had for me the year 2017. So everything that I'm living now, maybe I was supposed to live it in 2017. But I stopped the purpose that he had for me at that time because I decided that I wanted to hang out and live. You know what I mean? So yes, you can stop it. But you can stop it as a human. He doesn't stop it for you. But okay.
If that didn't happen in your life, you probably wouldn't have been here.
Right.
So
I think he uses every circumstance.
Yes.
Even with the bad decisions that we make, he turns them around and he uses that to bless your life. So maybe I wouldn't have been married to Hello. Nah, I think that would have happened.
The next question kind of fits into the first one, so we could skip that one. But the one after that says, those that do not believe in our God, the real God, what happens to them when we die? And the reason why I asked this question is because there was a friend of mine that asked me, wow, that rain is powerful. There was a friend of mine that asked me, so there are people that are still successful, they're making big money, they're doing all this, and they don't believe in our God. They're not spiritual, they're not religious. So what's going to happen to them when God calls for us, is my question.
You got an answer?
I'm just saying, I'm doing the little effect.
Okay.
That's the answer to the question.
Okay.
That's what's gonna happen to them.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
So I'm gonna answer the first part of your question. And you said there's a lot of that your friend said that there's a lot of people that are successful, right? God has power, right?
Yes.
The devil also has power.
Right.
So the devil has the power through either witchcraft or whatever belief they have to make them successful. But do you think that by being successful, they're being saved?
Oh.
So where are their souls gonna go? To that place
Wow.
of judgment. Because it's not that, oh, you died and then you're going straight to hell. No, it's not that. It's that you're going to that place that we talked about earlier, and you're going to be there waiting for your judgment day. You're going to be there waiting for that time when Jesus say, what did you do with what I gave you? Go ahead.
I have an interesting question that just came in my mind after
Oh,
you said all
God.
that. Okay, so these people are waiting for judgment. So who are the people that's in hell now?
Oh.
If they're waiting
That's
for
a
the
good
judgment.
question. That's a good question for the pastor. I don't have an answer for
Wow.
that one. And I have to recognize that I don't have an answer for that one.
Pastor, if you're hearing me now,
Yes.
who are the people that's in heaven if everyone is waiting for the day of judgment?
In hell.
In hell, sorry. In hell, if everyone is
I
waiting
can
for
tell
the
you
day
what
of
I
judgment.
believe, and I might be wrong. We gotta ask him for a right answer. But I think that there isn't people in hell right now. I think that the demons and all these spirits that the devil uses because he took a lot of angels from heaven. But I don't know if my answer is right. So, Pastor, if you're watching us,
Where you at?
where you at? Because I need an answer. So, do we have another question? Oh, yeah, I like this one. What's the difference between religion and belief? And we're going to close the program with this question. We're going to pray for the people that are actually watching us or listening to us if you're driving. So, the difference between a religion, and I'm going to give you a basic example. What do you do when you wake up?
Thank God for another day.
Right. And then you go to the bathroom, you brush your teeth, you wash your face.
You go on with
You
life.
either take a shower or whatever. You don't do that?
Yes, sometimes.
And then you go downstairs and you make breakfast, you take breakfast, and all these things, right? That routine that you do every day can transform into a religion. Because it's a routine. It's something you do every day. You practice this, and you practice it, and you believe that you're gonna do that tomorrow, and the day after that, and the day after that, right? So I'm gonna give you is Pastor saying we have a really deep topic.
No, I think he's talking about the question.
The question.
You don't know either.
He's saying, let's ask the Lord.
I'm dead.
Okay. So I'm going to give you the definition of religion. Religion means a pursuit or interest to which someone ascribes supreme importance. So, do you have something that you love? That, like art. You do art. And you like your hair.
Yes.
So that you like so much can become a religion for you. Because you start to idolize it and you don't realize. So it can become a god for you.
Wow.
That's deep.
So that's the difference. Pastor, you there? To me, that's the difference between religion and belief. When you believe in something, it's something that is inside of you, and you actually practice it every day because it's your way of living. It's your lifestyle. But a religion, to me, is something that you can make a routine of religion, and you go and you pray and you sing music, because singing music doesn't mean you're worshiping.
Right.
So yeah,
No, but
you go ahead.
I know that we said we were going to end, but recently I've been doing my research on the New Age movement, and I don't know how familiar people are with this, but this.
not.
Oh, okay. So yeah.
Go ahead.
Okay, so I was talking to the pastor, La Pastora, a long time ago about this, and she told me to do my research, and I did yesterday. So the New Age movement is kind of like, I'm God, all is God, so in big terms, God is nothing. Okay? So I'm you, you're me, the tree is me, I'm the tree. I am everything, so God is nothing. That's what the belief is based off of. It's all based on oneism. So everything is one. Evil is good, good is evil. But good is bad, bad is good. So my thing here is that they believe in energies and spirit, and they have multiple religions in this one belief. They pick and choose what they want here. And I think it's a thing that happened in the 1970s and became popular in the 1980s. And I just think that with everything that's going on in the world, people need to really pay attention to these things right here. And I'm not going to go too deep on it because it's kind of crazy. I just want to say that we really need to pray and really pay attention to those people that we think are doing us well, but they're actually doing us harm. Because just because you have that one friend does not mean that they're actually your friend, because spirits speak to each other and spirits connect.
And Abbas calls
So
another Abbas.
you need to be careful with who you're connecting to. Even if it's not physical, the spirit connects to the spirit that it connects with. So I just want to tell you guys to be careful with all this new age stuff that's going on, because in the midst of all these troubles, we need to really pay attention to God and focus on Him rather than ourselves, because you're not going to get us out of this mess. Only God will. That's all I wanted to say.
Amen.
Yeah.
I don't know. Okay, so she was saying that it can become like a really big thing, but what I think is not cool, but what I think is kind of mind blowing is that when someone believes in something, they get another person to believe in it, and it just becomes a really big thing. So from one person goes to 2 people and goes to 5 people, and then turns into a big thing. And I don't know, it's just kind of mind-blowing, because from one small little belief or one small little religion that someone has, everybody can have it.
And I read that the biggest way for the devil to have power is when your mind is on something. The devil can easily grab that and use it and switch it and make you believe something that isn't true. And just like the pastor said, the devil could even use a Bible verse to convince you that something is true when it's not.
Because you don't have the revelation of the
We
word.
just need to be careful.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, y'all, thank you for watching us. Thank you for coming to the show and being bold and being here with us. Because Kathleen is all an expert. She's been here since the first one. Kat, I want you to take us in prayer. Let's pray for the people that watched us to not be confused with everything that is going on around them, but to believe to the one and only God.
Father, for giving us. Thank you, Father. To your house, Father, to this program, Father, to speak, empty ourselves, Father, of the things that we have researched, learning, and of the questions that we have, Father. Father, we ask that in this time, Father, in this time of uncertainty, that we'll be able to trust in you and believe, Father, that you have a plan for us, Father, even when we are not seeing it, God. Oh, Father, in the name of Jesus, Father, we ask, Father, that people are not confused in this time, Father, but that people remain and stay faithful to what they have learned about you, Father, and what they have learned with their families, Father, about you, Father. Oh, God, in the name of Jesus, Father, we bless each and every person that has been watching us, Father. Pray, Father, that we get more viewers on this program so that we will be able to evangelize to many, many more people.
Yes.
In the name of Jesus.
Amen.